Hey everyone, Kazungu here, and welcome back to another Destiny 2 video. Today, I'm going to break down the armor and mod changes coming in Season 15 based on this week's TWAB post from Bungie. Before we begin, however, if you liked this video or found it helpful, remember that a like and subscribe is greatly appreciated and it goes a long way to help out the channel. Make sure to also click the bell icon to be notified whenever I make a new video, and check me out on Twitch too if you feel like it. Link in description as always. Let's get on to the video. In this week's TWAB, Bungie announced a lot of changes. This includes changes coming to the Traction mod, exotic armor balancing and reworks, and some changes to ammo scavenger mods, as well as changes to the Warmind cell mods. Before looking at the armor changes, I want to mention the changes to the Traction mod. In Season 15, the Traction mod will be removed, and its old functionality will actually be placed into the Settings menu, which I imagine is a very welcome change for console and controller players now that they don't have to sacrifice a mod slot on their boots for Traction. Controller users will also be able to further increase their sensitivity, as well as setting a multiplier for their sensitivity while aiming down sights. Jumping into the armor changes, we have some changes going into the exotics that focus on super regen. Most of these changes are nerfs, but some of them are slight buffs or adjustments. All existing super regen exotics will now cap out at 50% super energy return. Shards of Galanor and Skull of Dire Ahamkara have had their energy refund per kill increased, but they also will hard cap out at 50% returned. On the buff side, Stormdancer's Brace now has an added perk that makes it give back up to 50% super energy based on the number of kills after your Storm Trance ends, in addition to its current effect. Geomag stabilizers are also being nerfed, having their topping off Chaos Reach effect removed, but I think it'll still be very good in PvE, since it will continue to increase super duration each time you deal damage with Chaos Reach. Now that the nerfs are out of the way, let's look at some buffs and reworks. Starting with some Hunter exotics, the Bombardier's Explosive will now gain an extra effect based on your subclass element. Arc will now blind, Solar will now burn, and Void will now suppress, although this specific suppress effect will not be able to stop supers in PvP, and Stasis will now slow. One thing here, if the Stasis bomb's slow actually does stack with your freeze, you might be able to instantly freeze enemies with your dodge if you use the aspect that makes your dodge apply slow. This is not confirmed, I just wanted to point out this potential interaction. Graviton Forfeit will now have an even longer increased invisibility duration, more melee regeneration based on the number of nearby enemies, and while you're invisible, you will have more recovery and an increase in reload speed. Lucky Pants are finally receiving a rework as well, and they will now have an intrinsic hand cannon holster mod, which are basically going to be reconstruction from Deepstone Crypt without the overflow effect, and it only works when the gun is holstered. More on these new mods later, but that's the basics of the new holster mod. Lucky Pants has also had its old perk entirely replaced with a buff that activates when you ready up a fully loaded kinetic hand cannon or one that matches your subclass energy type. This buff will make you do increased damage on rapid hits against enemies in PvE. It apparently will not stack with Hawkmoon's Paracausal Shot, but it may work on other hand cannons in some unique ways. We'll just have to wait and see. Titans only have 2 exotic armors getting changed. One of them is going to be Icefall Mantle, which no longer slows down your class ability regen anymore, which I don't think is that great of a change, and these gauntlets still need a little more love before they'll be great outside of some niche builds. Precious Scars, however, is receiving a massive buff, which I think may balance out the nerf to Ursa Furiosa. This helmet still gives the overshield on revive, but it will now cause bursts of healing and recovery around you when you get kills with a weapon that matches your subclass's element. This is a huge buff in my opinion, and I plan to run Precious Scars inside of GMs and hard mode raids going forward. Warlocks also got a couple of exotic armor changes, starting with the Verity's Brow. It will now only trigger on kills with weapons that match your subclass element, but the grenade damage bonus will now be 20% per stack instead of 10% per stack. The Stag will now also grant a defensive buff to allied guardians inside of your rift. This buff is going to be 25% reduced incoming damage in PvE and 15% reduced in PvP. I want to test this out with Protective Light, Well of Tenacity, as well as Warmind's Protection to see just how tanky we could get, but this is still a great change nonetheless. Prometheum Spur also got a new perk where you can now gain class ability energy by getting solar weapon kills while standing in a rift, and when your class ability energy is full, solar weapon kills will consume that energy and create a healing and empowering rift combo at the target's location. This thing will still have its old perk where supers also create the healing and empowering rift combo on kill. I think it's another great buff to an underperforming exotic. I think the exotic armor changes are pretty good overall. I do think that the nerfs to things like Phoenix Protocol and Ursa are not unwarranted, and the reworks and changes to other exotics should make for a fresh end-game exotic armor meta. As for the mod changes, we have a new type of mod that will be going on our boots in Season 15, the Holster mod. These mods will gradually reload stowed weapons of the matching type over time, similar to Reconstruction without the part that overflows the magazine, and multiple holster mods of the same type will increase the rate at which your weapons are reloaded. And this also applies to all weapon types except for rockets, breech-loading grenade launchers, and bows, since Bungie said they do not want to add this functionality to weapons that only have a magazine size of 1. Warmind cells are also finally seeing a nerf, with the base Warmind cells now having a range of 6 meters, down from previously 10 meters. They also have a reduced explosion damage, down from 200 to 400 damage to only 50 to 250 damage. Global reach will now cost 3 energy, and it will now extend Warmind cell ranges to 10 meters, down from 20 meters. Cellular Suppression's debuff duration is also going to be reduced from 3 seconds to 2 seconds, and Wrath of Rasputin now gives a smaller solar damage bonus, down to 25 to 100 from 100 to 200. Warmind cells will definitely still be great, but they aren't the room-clearing nukes they used to be. I do think this nerf was needed, and they don't seem to be completely killing off Warmind cells, just making them in a healthy spot to keep them in the game going forward. Last but not least, the Elemental Well mod Elemental Armaments now has its spawn chance increased based on the tier of enemy you defeat, where higher tier enemies like orange bars or champions will have a higher chance to drop the Elemental Well, and the Elemental Well mod Font of Might has had its base duration increased to 10 seconds, and the damage bonus provided has been increased to 25%. Well everyone, that's all I have for this video, so if you liked it or found it helpful, a like is always appreciated, and if you would like, click subscribe as well as the bell icon for notifications whenever I make a new video, and check out my Twitch, which is linked down below if you want to catch some live streams. I will have another video out next week after the Weapons TWAB, as well as some other videos the week after that once Season 15 launches. As always, thank you so much for coming by and watching. Have a great day.